Hey everyone, New World Aeternum is here and it's running fantastically well on the Steam Deck with the default controller mapping of gamepad with joystick mouse. It is looking as good as ever and the sound is as gorgeous as ever. This has got to be one of the best sound effects in games that I've come across, especially in the survival genre. They never seem to quite get it right, but all of the sound effects in this one are just absolutely phenomenal. As you can see, running around, for the most part, we're going to get around 40 to 50 frames per second, but this is running on the lowest graphic settings. Even with minor combat, I must admit though, this game does look absolutely beautiful on the Steam Deck, especially on the OLED, even with these low graphics preset. However, you might be tempted to put this up to medium, which does get you okay around the main world. Capping it at 30 with the medium settings, even at night looks absolutely gorgeous, even on a mount moving around. Although New World Aeternum is essentially the same New World base game, get a mount and the extra features you will need to purchase the DLC. Unfortunately though, with those medium settings, even with a 30 frames per second cap, it goes to absolute rubbish when we go into town, barely even holding 20 frames per second with not a huge amount of people around. So I will say to stick with the uncapped low preset, and you can push 60 frames per second in dungeons, which I'll show in a second, or cap it at 45 for a solid experience in-game outside of town, and also when we are in those dungeons. In town it still goes to around 30 frames per second depending on the loading areas and also the amount of players. When there's lots of players around, it is around 30 frames per second, but otherwise it's pushing 45 easy. In dungeons, we get actually 60 frames per second most of the time, even with some of the boss fights with lots of effects going off. This will dip down into the 40s with some of the larger dungeon areas and with the full party, but you can be able to play this without any issues, and full controller mapping now makes life a lot easier. Overall, New World Aeternum is performing great, but it's still New World. If you want to come back for a refresh, you'll have to wait for the console players to catch up in levels to make sure you get those dungeons going well, and you might have to transfer your player as well, as most of the old servers have been merged or shut down. Let us know in the comments below if you're going to be diving back into New World Aeternum. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.